And we're live. And with today's special live webcast, we have a guest with us, Mr. Stephen Buoncore of Stronghold Games. Hello, Stephen.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, good, good. And we also have Lance Meister here, as usual.
Yes, and I'm pleased to announce that after only 8 episodes, we've finally been legitimized as a podcast, as we finally have Stephen Buoncore on our show.
The Podfather.
The Podfather, yes.
I must be on all of them. I had to make you an offer you couldn't refuse, so let me on the show, of course.
Now, see, the wonderful thing is that I listen to so few podcasts, so I'm undoubtedly going to ask the same questions of Stephen that he's answered 1,000 times before, and I don't care because
is that true? You really don't
interested.
listen? You don't listen to like everybody else on the network?
It's not because I think I'm special or anything. I just don't have any time to I barely have time to do the stuff that I do as far as board games go and with family and whatever. So young kids.
Listen to everybody under the sun, so I'll stop you. You repeat yourself.
Yeah, there you go.
Do we have a music in the background?
It's not me.
Not me.
Dancing's forbidden. I hear your phone or something in the background.
Something's
Stephen.
going off, and something was
very
going on
professional. Thank you very much. Close the porn hub and the red tube, and let's move forward.
Oh, that's funny. It was my other computer, and I had it set to go off with this show at 8:30, so it's streaming over there.
Do you need some time by yourself, my friend?
I'm good.
Okay. Good.
All
right. Well, I'm just going to dive in. I'm going to dive in, and I'm going to mention that, like, the very first time that I ever talked to Stephen, it was obviously via email, and it was right when Stronghold Games got started. And I remember exchanging emails with you about games coming out, and I remember at the very beginning of Stronghold Games, like, the whole premise, or I think the idea to get it started was the idea that you're going to be reprinting old games, like games that were long out of print. Like Survive was like one of your signature titles right away from the beginning. And I remember being really excited to hear that was coming back, and of course, like, you kind of followed that up with other games that have been out of print or whatever, and you had of course, your Merchant of Venus debacle and things like that. But you've definitely expanded.
Kerfluffle, I believe we have.
Kerfluffle, yes.
Kerfluffle.
You've expanded outwards into. Obviously, you have a very successful Space Cadet line that you are building off of. You have probably one of the best Euros to come out this year in Panamax. You have Diamonds, which is a nice, simple trick-taking game that my family is enjoying a lot. And so what caused, like, the shift, I guess, is where and it's kind of a softball question. I apologize for that. I'm not really hitting you hard here, but what caused, like, the shift of the focus or whatever for Stronghold?
Well, getting into the industry back in the day was a lot different than doing it now, right? A lot of people do it just on Kickstarter, and they get a lot of publicity that way, and especially if they got something that gets a lot of buzz. They can score that buzz, early on, and via lots of things, Kickstarter, social media. I mean, there's a lot of things. But 5 years ago, when Stronghold Games started up, we had to figure out a way that we could get ourselves out there and elevate our brand. So how do we do that? Well, one way to do that would be to get, and I'm going to use my hands here because we're on video. If I take great games by great designers, and then people all of a sudden say, well, who are these guys, Stronghold Games? I slowly raise my brand up to that level. So that was the original model. If I could find those games, they were all in demand by the gamers, highly rated, big in-demand games. Sooner or later, people would say, well, they'll take a chance because they really want Survivor. They really wanted Code 777. They'll take a chance on Stronghold Games. They'll see the quality we can do and the great gameplay of those games, and then they'll stay with us as we grow. But the well, of course, of reprints is bound to run dry, and I think it's, it certainly has dried up quite a bit because several companies did this, right? I mean, we Valley Games did it early. Z-Man did some.
Yeah, what happened
to
Valley Games? Does anybody know what happened to them?
I
haven't heard anything recently at all. Yeah.
I don't know. Fantasy Flight obviously got into it. So all those reprints, the well dried up. We've got a great one this year. I'll quickly pitch that one. Medina We'll talk about that hopefully in a little while.
Yep.
But sooner or later, you run out of those. You run out of those games, and you're gonna go and the plan was always to go then out and find great games by established designers and new designers and bring those into our line, and then to explore Europe, explore what's happening out in Europe, and bring great games that are only out in Europe and bring them here into North America and the rest of the world, because I do have worldwide distribution with Stronghold Games, and one of the biggest successes in the co-publication, bringing something in from Europe, is this year's Among the Stars and the expansions for Among the Stars, and my new strategic partnership that I really now have with Artipia Games, which is going to be fantastic, and it's going to be going on for quite some time. So that was the model, and that's how it's shifted. But it's true to the beginning, that we're always going to just continue to find great games wherever they are, and continue to use great components to bring great things to gamers.
Okay. Backing up something you mentioned, and I didn't want to interrupt you. You mentioned Kickstarter, and you've long been the biggest proponent of Kickstarter in the industry, speaking its praises repeatedly, constantly.
Proselytizing. Be nice. Do not misquote me. Go ahead.
Am I incorrect as far as that's concerned? I'm not sure. I mean, you had the very successful Core Worlds digital Kickstarter that you enjoyed the success of, correct?
The development studio that approached us to do Core Worlds did launch a Kickstarter. Obviously, we were part of it in helping them get that going. It wasn't my Kickstarter. The thing, obviously, what you're pointing at is the fact that I don't use Kickstarter, and I've said that professional publishers shouldn't be there. It's a great, fantastic way for people to raise capital in general for everything, games or inventions or movies or whatever. Fantastic thing to do. But a professional publisher, as myself, I think, should be putting their own capital, their own marketing ability, their own personality, getting on podcasts. We should be out there and getting gamers to follow the company using our own abilities and our own money. I've also said in the past that when I go outside of my core business model, which is what, bringing games in the $20 to $60 range, I go outside of that model. Well, you have to judge what the market's going to be for a big game, like $100 game. And if I ever did that, or a digital game, then I would certainly get involved in a Kickstarter. So for Core Worlds Digital, which again was not part of, I did not actually do that, but we were integrally involved, of course, with it. That was Broken Myth Studios, fantastic group who's going to be doing Core Worlds Digital. They ran it. We were involved with it. So we obviously backed. We said that that's a great idea. I'll get behind that kind of funding on something like this. If I do a game like the best example of all that I always use is Steve Jackson Games when they did Ogre, and they went out there. And they do their average game is what, $20 games, a $30 game. Munchkin Line that's about what they do. But instead, they're doing a $100 game now. How do they judge what the demand is? Now, obviously, the demand was tremendous, but did they know that they could bring a $100 game out and print? I think in the end they printed 14,000 copies, no, 11,000 copies, something insane like that, in one huge print run. So when they did they know they were going to be able to do that? The answer is no. So they went out to Kickstarter. They checked out what the market is. Obviously, it did very well. To me, that's the perfect model for a professional publisher to be involved with Kickstarter. And that's what I've said from the beginning, that if I did that kind of game, and it is coming up soon, I have something in mind that will happen soon, that we'll get into the Kickstarter realm like that.
Whoa,
Steven,
okay. Wait. What's this thing?
No. We cannot discuss this thing yet. I think you might have a little inside knowledge, Lance. I know that. I know you're looking to get some information on that. But I got to wait a little longer. If you want me to come back on your show to make the official announcement on that, we can discuss that. But not quite yet. Okay?
Does it rhyme with something?
No, Now I know where you're going. No, 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 no. I thought you actually. It has not rhyme with Tragic Helm. That is the greatest name for the next game in the Space Cadets line. Space Cadets Tragic Helm. I got Engelstein right now designing that game, so you'll see
So
that next year.
what's it going to take? What I mean, you've got the inside line. I remember being a teenager and seeing Magic Realm on the shelf at my on my game store. And I know you've told me the story a million times, but I mean, I remember seeing it and like wanting to buy it so many times, and I just always decided not to, and I kick myself all the time for not having a copy. I mean, just to have it, so to speak. And you and I have talked, and you said if you went that route, you'd make a super overproduced, beautiful copy of it. But I understand you can't get the rights to it or what have you.
No. And I'll address that one directly. And that is not, unfortunately, for those out there that are really looking to see Magic Realm come back in. That's not, unfortunately, the announcement that I will be making in the near future. It's still tied up in legal issues due to, and it is really directly due to the Merchant of Venus kerfluffle. There are some very big players. One very big player involved with that, right? I mean,
does that rhyme with Rabro?
Yeah, no, we can. That's okay. I mean, Hasbro, obviously was involved with the Magic Realm licensing issue. And now that they know who I am, they know Stronghold Games, they know the whole thing. Until all of the legal issues around that are resolved, and there is a path. There is an absolute path to making that happen. I can't move forward on that. In fact, Hasbro has even said just this: certain things have to happen, and God bless you, go right ahead. But certain things haven't happened, and they're not on me to make happen. And that's really all I can say. I mean, that's about it. I mean, certain things have to happen, and it's just tied up right now.
I'm bugging you with one last question, and then Joel can ask something. So this big major news event that you just can't divulge or whatever. Fine, I understand. Is it a reprint?
No.
Oh, well, then I have no idea.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Can you name the designer?
That's good.
No. Are you guys going to BGG Con?
Oh, I wish.
Yeah, I wish as well.
That's a great con. I will announce it by then. So if you want me to announce it with you around or something, and you want me to be back on the show between now and then, we can do it.
Okay.
But not right now.
Joel, make it happen.
There's so many other things for us to talk about that we don't want to talk about new news right now. That's not happening for a while. Let's talk about some current news. Let's talk about how great Gen Con was. Let's talk about the fact that you two, what did somebody call us? You two jackwagons. Somebody called us that in Twitter today. I thought it was great, jackwagons. Wouldn't have a beer with me at Gen Con. What is up with that?
What are you talking about? I had a beer with you at the hotel. You bought it for me.
I did? Oh crap!
Yes. It was like remember we got up there and then we asked for something on tap and the tap was broken, and the guy's like, yeah, our tap engineer isn't here.
Oh no, at the Secret Cabal thing, right?
Yeah.
You did show up. Yeah, that was such a madhouse.
I showed up. I was there.
That's right. We did. Okay. All right.
Yeah. How was your water, Joel?
Yeah. Joel.
Hey, it is what it is.
Hey, we do not judge. Water, it's an acceptable beverage.
I judge, Joel.
Yeah, that was the Secret Cabal meetup was great, except for the fact that the taps ran out, the bottles ran out. They completely drained. Think about that. On a Saturday night, they drained a bar of everything. That was just wild. But
this was a board game convention you guys were at?
Board game conventions often have great social events as well. That's why I highly recommend everybody out there go to your local convention and go to Gen Con, come to BGG Con. You'll have a great time.
Well, Stephen, I had one last follow-up question, kind of dovetailing off everything that Lance had asked you so far. Then we can get into some Gen Con stuff. one thing that is, I don't know if it's missing, it's just not there in your line, is you got, nice reprints, good family games, Diamonds, you've got a great card game there, as well as like Revolver and stuff you brought over in Core Worlds. And you have good solid Euros that you have brought over. And one thing that's missing, and I think from listening to you on other podcasts, I think your favorite game is War of the Ring, if I'm not mistaken. But we don't
You are
see.
correct.
Okay. We don't see a lot of the, the Ameritrash, the thematic, however you want to call it, that style of game. Is that something that you are going to publish one day? You got, irons in the fire in that case?
Do you mean, well, are you talking like really like a war game, I guess is what
Well,
you're saying?
I mean, I guess you can almost kind of throw Space Cadets in that category in some ways. It's more of that's a nice hybrid in a lot of ways as well, but
I have a lot of I think I have a lot of hybrid style games. I mean,
yeah.
I don't have I guess a true war game. Certainly don't have one of those. I don't have a game of like multiplayer conflict. I don't have that, and I love that style. I absolutely love it. But those games that you got to find the right game.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll give you something. You want a scoop? You want a scoop here?
Give it to us.
All right,
What
this
do you
is this is a scoop. This is a scoop. This is along those lines, but not exactly. It's along those lines. I will be. I've actually might have talked about this general concept in the past, but I'm going to be establishing a line of games that's called the Great Designers Series.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do with that line is I'm going to basically invite certain designers to come to this, to bring games into this line, who are of the absolute top echelon of designers. And the first game that I'm going to be doing, and I have not announced this yet, but I have an agreement in principle to do it, so I'm going to mention it, is a Martin Wallace game. He does Waros, I guess you could say. They're games with lots of conflict but very streamlined mechanics. I'm a very big fan of Struggle of Empires. You guys played that game?
I think that's one of Lance's favorite games, right?
Struggle of Empires by Martin Wallace? Love it.
I enjoy Struggle a great deal, yeah.
I love that game. Well, he did a revised version of that game. I don't know if you know this, called Age of Reason. Do you guys know that?
No.
500 copies of that game were printed in German only. I'm making that. I've signed an agreement in principle with Spielworks, which owns the license on that, and I'm going to have worldwide English rights and put that as my first game in the Great Designer Series, Age of Reason by Martin Wallace. And Martin's he is one of my absolute favorite designers, and a good friend of mine too. Since the beginning of Stronghold Games, we've struck up a relationship. He's a great guy, and I'm really proud to be bringing that game to the English market, to worldwide English publication during the early part of 2015.
Fantastic.
There you go. That's a scoop. I've given you a scoop. Are you happy?
I guess. No, that's really cool. That is really cool.
Oh, yes, I had this game. Okay, this is Ztauter der something.
In English, it's called Age of Reason. Yeah.
Age of Reason. There we go. I was wondering. I was like, I've never heard of that game, and I've followed Mr. Wallace relatively closely. But,
yeah, it's not. I mean, you can call it a reprint, I guess, but it's the first English printing of the game. So very happy about it. There's only 500 copies in German ever been printed. I have a copy of it too because I'm a Wallace, kind of a Wallace fanatic.
Right.
I got all of his stuff. So it's kind of cool to be bringing one of my design heroes, out under my line.
Good. Well, that's great. Awesome. It makes me happy.
I also have, just to give you a little more, I also have another war game that's in the very, very, very early stages by another designer you've heard of. I don't want to mention too much on that one because it literally is like, it's been pitched to me. I love it. I said we just got to develop this game. It's going to be very, very different, and it's a true war game, a two-player war game. So that's down the road. That'll be late 2015 or 2016.
Gotcha.
What about away missions? When's that coming out?
Away missions has been pushed out. That's an interesting comment that you made that one because you've actually play tested that, right? We sent you a copy for your your perusal about a year ago, I would think it was, right?
Yeah, and I never got my check, by the way, just so you know.
Ah, I think you've gotten many of my games.
Oh, yes.
Yes. That's one game. The only game of this year that was delayed. I did a lot of games this year, as you might know, as we will probably touch upon. I have 10 new games, including expansions, coming out between now and November. 10. That's tremendous. So Away Missions is one of the games that has been pushed out on my website, on my little release schedule there. I've got it listed as TBD on timing for pre-orders and timing for the release. So there'll be more information coming out about that. We're deeply in art. We're like basically things are ready, but I just didn't want to put out yet another game, and that is just a fantastic. You can tell people. You were one of the people that said, Steven, I like this game so much, you really should do it. I already liked it, but I wanted to get it out to a couple of people to see if they just got it, and you did. Jeff Gamble, he also had it like blind, and he loved it too. Several other groups had it, so that's just the game. I didn't want it to get lost in quite a few other big releases and sort of other core releases that I did this year. I mean, think about it. With Among the Stars, I did that and 2 expansions, right, all at the same time. Doing expansions for Space Cadets Dice Duel, expansion for the original Space Cadets, 2 huge Euros that have to stand independently of each other as well. So many Kanban and Panamax, just to name them as well. Let's just keep dropping names here. All of these things together, I needed to, just essentially make sure I had enough space between games and enough buzz that I can circle around these games and around Away Missions when I finally do announce when that'll come out.
Fair enough.
Is that good enough?
Yeah, that's fair.
All right.
Okay. So the reason I mentioned that, Joel, is because that one actually is fairly thematic. It's a tactical scenario combat game but it's a co-op, so it's like the aliens kind of move around and kill you, and it was fun when I played it. It's probably completely different now, so who knows?
No, it's ostensibly the same game that you played. We've tweaked a few things. We added many missions to the game. Yes, it is a co-op game. You're exploring alien space stations, ships, planets. And the aliens are coming at you and swarming you from all directions, and it's mission-based, so it makes a really great addition to the Space Cadets line, which basically is always right. All the Space Cadets games are either are cooperative or team versus team, which is a form of cooperation, right? So that's the kind of thing that we've established in Space Cadets. This is a thematic prequel to that, and a generally a game that makes sense to add into this line, and I think it's going to be a fantastic game for those who've played it already said so, and I think it's going to be a great addition to this line of games if you really like the original 2.
Awesome. Now I'm going to kind of switch gears here just a little bit, and what the heck was that?
We're shifting gears.
Grinding
okay.
gears. All right.
You guys are too dry.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not. Anyway, my head's in a fog. I'm full of ibuprofen and Advil.
Nice.
So, yeah.
No, where's your beer?
I can't drink and take medication. You know that.
Oh well, yeah. You see what I have there? Can you read that?
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. That's so. Is that like a tavern you have in your basement or something, or what?
That's my bar.
Kudos on your ice bucket challenge video, by the way. Very enjoyable.
Thank you for calling me out.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no problem. So you must have a background in gaming. So give us the abridged version of what did you play when you were younger, and because you're 32, 33 years now.
Yeah,
old?
That's about right. 32,
Yeah.
33, plus or minus 20 years, right? Okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
thank you very much. I appreciate the comments on that.
Well, it's the not married thing. You look younger. You're not.
I think it's keeping me younger looking because I'm not married. Okay.
There you go. No. Give us the abridged version of your gaming life.
Yeah, I've gone through the entire cycle of gaming. I've played hardcore basically every type of gaming. And back in the day, I mean, with the family, we did the standard family stuff, Monopoly, all the Milton Bradley and the Parker Brothers stuff. I had like every one of those games. A lot of the game show games. I mean, yeah, we were I would say we were either a gaming family, or at least I had three brothers, so we gamed together. So all of that kind of stuff when growing up. As you know, as time went on, I got into the early computer gaming. I was gaming on the Apple IIs. I was gaming on the early IBM PCs. So I got into that for a bit. Um, during the 90s, Magic hit the scene, and I was a Magic player. I got heavily into.
Ooh.
Hey, no, man, come
Oh
on, Magic.
man,
Magic is excellent. You don't
there's
like
a
Magic?
mute button.
Yeah.
Uh,
Are you anti-Magic?
well, it's just I don't know. I don't know. I appreciate it because it keeps my local game store afloat and
But Magic
keeps
is
the money flowing.
Magic's a brilliant game, and it's one of those things that, like, yeah, if you want to play it competitively, it's a lifestyle. I mean, you're going to spend ridiculous money, but who cares? You know what? Well, you know what? We're going to get to the final point of my travel. Let me get to the final point of my journey. So I was into Magic. I was into Vitesse. It was called Jihad at first, Vampire: The Eternal Struggle. A very cool multiplayer CCG. I was into that for quite a bit for a long time. Did some MMOs. Is that what they call?
Massively multiplayer online RPGs.
Yeah. Like I did City of Heroes. Right at the time that World of Warcraft came out, another game came out called City of Heroes. Did that for a while. It was, so that's basically a superhero version of that game. So enjoyed that.
I found the character creation of that the best part.
That was
Anyway.
awesome, right? The character creation and the effects that you can actually do, were really, really, really. So you know about that one.
City of Villains was better.
City of Villains, right? Sure.
When you got to be the city, we be the bad guys. The mastermind class was amazing. So
always
anyway,
fun to be the bad guys. And then I got my life back when I ended that, because that's like a huge time sink. You lose your life, and I basically started just getting back and playing board games again, and realized that really what I was looking for out of gaming was just that social aspect, being together with friends around a table, having a beer, talking, trash talking, and enjoying each other's company. So, the winning and losing to me in a game is so, I don't care. I don't care if I win or lose games. I care about playing and enjoying the situation. So board gaming became, to me, what I was looking for in gaming. The social interaction of coming together and spending time with friends. And there I am, and and I parlayed my love of board games into using my business background, into publishing them. As simple as that. I figured that I could bring my expertise from my professional life into a hobby, and.
What was the trigger there, Stephen? Like, where were you? What kind of place were you in? And he said, you know what, I'm going to make the jump. And
well, making the jump is an interesting thing. I've worked on Wall Street my entire life in IT. I'm an IT guy on Wall Street. So there's a certain amount of money you can make doing that. IT is a good lifestyle usually. Being on Wall Street's very good. So I did that. I continue to do that. Stronghold Games is a second career for me, a parallel career for me. It is not the only thing that I do. I still do that. So I didn't make the jump completely, but I'm doing both. I thought that getting into this and essentially building Stronghold Games to a to a level whereby at some point I can say, you know what, I can leave, I can retire, quote unquote, from the from the 9 to 5, which is never 9 to 5 types of job, working for the man, and I can then become my own boss permanently. So I do both. I got 2 full-time jobs, I guess you can say, right now. Um, and while it's very hectic doing that, it is a very rewarding thing in the end, right? I mean, I don't mean necessarily financially rewarding. It's great to have the income from the real job, and also do this, which just basically takes money and then funnels it back into the company. That's why you keep the real job, so you can keep paying the bills. But I take the money, we funnel it back in, we kind of build and build and build this thing that we want to, love forever, and then at some point, hopefully, we do the retirement from the real world, and then we become we become the Stronghold Games empire that I hope I am building.
Sounds good. So, Lance, you got another question, or else I'm going to jump in here.
Lance is boring. Yeah, Joel, you got to
Lance
go.
is muted.
I just
Are you coughing?
I was coughing hardcore.
Oh.
I've just got my daughter got sick. She went back to school, 2nd grade, and she got sick. Brings home all those germs and.
Fantastic.
That's
yeah,
common, right?
how it is. I do have another question for Stephen, however. So, Gen Con, obviously, as all like 2 years ago when I saw you were running like a Mad Hatter, taking care of it. And then you were there again, and also once again, you guys sold out of Panamax, and how quickly?
Panamax air-shipped in 120 copies, and every one of them was sold out in 2 hours.
Yeah, so I mean, and that was so you should have air-shipped more in then.
Yeah, but if you airship 240 copies, the next logical number, right? 2 pallets. I airshipped 1 full pallet, and you do 2 of them, and you only sell 121 copies. That's an expensive mistake. Yes, and that's one of those things that everyone who goes to a Gen Con or an Essen and the publishers sell out, and they get a little outraged by that. Why didn't you bring more? Because we can't. It's impossible to estimate the exact demand. I would love to. If I would have known that demand, I probably would have done 3 pallets. Because probably I would have sold most of that. But you just can't make those those estimations. You have to take a guess, and it's got to be toward the lowish side of what you can theoretically do. What if I only sold 50 of them? Then it would have been a very expensive thing to have sent that pallet of games on its first class seat times 2 to Gen Con.
Well, what about if you next year? I'm not telling you what to do. Obviously, you're a genius when it comes to running your company, but
of course, yes.
Yeah. I mean, what about I mean, I always think that as a publisher, you could say, okay, well, I can bring in up to 240. I'll take pre-orders, and if I can sell 240 at cost to buy them at Gen Con, then I mean you could hedge your bets, if you will. I mean, you're the pre-order guy. I mean, obviously, other companies are following suit. They're not going the Kickstarter route. It's just it's starting. People are realizing why give a percentage to Kickstarter. Why give a percentage to Amazon? If you're an established company, you can pocket all the money instead of giving it away. So I mean, I don't know. It's just something I think.
No, it's not a bad idea. It's a thought that's obviously crossed my head. I mean, you could do pre-orders on these things. Doing any kind of pickup at convention is a very, and people do it all the time. Don't get me wrong, but when you don't exactly know what's going to be able to be there, so that was Panamax. Let's take that that's a very good example. I mean, that game got printed and assembled and packaged a day before it got on the plane to get to the U.S., to get to Indianapolis, to get to Gen Con. So, timing these things is not as easy as you would think. So, one guy once said, and I think it was last year when people were screaming at Fantasy Flight for not bringing enough games in. he was like, he was so irate that he couldn't get something, whatever it was. And people were trying to explain to him, like, believe me, publishers want to sell you games at full price. They really do. It's a really good way of selling games, right? If I have a $60 game and I can sell it at $60 because it's brand new, that's great. I don't get that, of course, when I sell it into distribution. But it's not a matter of putting the variables, putting the tasks into MS Project and saying, oh, hey, look at that. I can do it by this date, and I'm going to get it there. There are so many variables of getting it to a convention, what if I took all that money and then I couldn't get it there? Oh my God! Then I gotta refund money, and then people will be more irate. So yes, we can always do better at it. We can always try harder. We can always plan more, and we can always pick up at Essen and pick up at Gen Con type things. But I try to do it such that I'm sure you can get a game if you showed up there in the morning, of the first day. I'll try to do it better next time, but it was pretty good. It's the kind of good thing at some level. It's a good thing to say, hey, I've sold out. This was very popular. The reviews, those who have the game have loved it so far, and it's kind of good for building a lot of nice buzz going forward. I would have wished I could have sold 3 times as many, but they're going to be there. They're going to be there in distribution pretty soon.
Well, the whole leave them wanting more thing is what you're trying to say.
Doesn't hurt.
Well, okay. Well, I'm gonna just ask Joel's question for him because I know what it's going to be. Why aren't you publishing Joel's game? He's really upset with you.
Well, Joel's never pitched me a game before, so Joel pitches me a game. I'll absolutely look at it.
That's not my question.
He was talking about it all day today in text message. He called me twice.
What kind of game is it, Joel?
No, nothing, man. It's
and I just want to talk about it. No.
So I was curious about a couple of things. So Panamax is a pretty hardcore Euro, and so is Kanban and stuff like that. So it's interesting to me. Did you think that maybe I'll sell more Panamax at Essen because it's more of a Euro focused thing, or do you see some of the shift of that, just from your perspective, how receptive are Gen Con attendees to buying Euros? Obviously, they bought 120 or 125 Panamax and all that good stuff, and there were some other Euros there as well. But is that part of that? Is sort of like, well, we can get a couple here, but if you could have more ready, would you have brought more over, or were you just more targeting that as a bigger Essen release because of the style of game?
No, I absolutely had nothing to do with the style of game. Nothing whatsoever to do. The number simply is the number is one pallet. That's what fit on a pallet. That's what I air shipped over. I figured that would be a number that I should be able to sell over the course of the entire convention. I underestimated that, obviously. I don't believe. Well, I don't believe that Gen Con is nearly as American style, I like to say. Tom now says Amerithrash. I don't know if you've heard that new term he's been using.
Yeah.
Whatever. I personally don't like the term Ameritrash either. I like because it sounds negative. So I always say American style. I don't necessarily believe that Gen Con is American style game focused necessarily. I think if you've got a big release that's great and it's got good buzz, you're going to sell it. A la Panamax. So that sold fantastically, and it was a fine place to get a bunch of games there to get them out, because I was able to do so. Obviously, in Europe, it'll even sell more on average, but there's a lot of factors in that. The fact that for me, this opens up a sort of a bigger topic. When Stronghold Games is at Essen, in Essen at the Spiel, right? Call it by its exact names. When we're there, the Europeans flock to us, not just us, Z-Man, all of the American publishers, because they can't get the games as easily as they can when we're there. When we're there, they're going to get the games first. They're going to get the games um, um, first out of the gate. They're going to get them at a cheaper price because once they're back in the U.S. and they got to come over, somebody's going to add some money onto it. So um, the game, so Panamax is going to sell more by definition over there. From that, it's going to sell a little bit more also because it's a Euro game versus an American style game. But overall, I don't feel that Gen Con necessarily is a only for American style games.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it's only either. I just was curious about the divide there, and if there even was one or not. But
no, I mean, and I think from what you saw too, adjust my screen here. What you saw too, I mean, it was just a real general rush of people buying all kinds of games at Gen Con. I mean, if you take a look at, I mean, what did I sell there? And if you go through like the list of other people too,
right.
Among the Stars, a release from Europe that I brought in, we sold out of that in 1 hour.
Wow.
That was even faster than Panamax. I had less of them. I had almost half as many, so we sold it almost at the same rate. Diamonds, right? A small trick-taking card game by Mike Fitzgerald, right? That sold out in 3 hours. People were just eating that up, and then the buzz actually kind of accelerated on that as people were playing it. They were playing in the booth and saying, "Oh my God, how many do you have left? I got to get one of these now before this thing sells out." That kind of thing.
Good.
So there was so many. We had so many games, and Die Fighter was my other one. Basically, it's Dice Duel Die Fighter was my other release, and that also. So that's an expansion. So it took a little extra time to sell out. It took the full first 2 days to sell out. So and everybody has, almost every one of the publishers has that same story at Gen Con. There were so many games that had great buzz. Hey, look who just came by, and who did I just mention just now? Diamonds. Look who's back behind.
Oh, there he is.
Hey,
Mr.
Mike Fitzgerald, hold on. I'm gonna pull out. Say something, guys. Can you? Hello, guys. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's coming through the speakers now. Okay. Mike Fitzgerald happens to be at my house right now.
Awesome.
And this podcast that I'm on with you right now. I am not playing games with Mike, who's in my basement right now, drinking probably all my beer down there with all my friends, and I came here to hang out with you. It's so funny. I just started telling the story about Diamonds and how well it was selling. So Mike, why don't you sit down for 2 minutes and talk about Diamonds? How's that? That was the surprise guest that I kind of mentioned to Joel. So
no, that's awesome. Have him sit down.
Yeah, I'll just hold this here in front of you. You can hear it. There you go. I'll stand behind you.
Well, both of you guys, pleasure to talk with you guys. I love all your work and all your reviews.
Well, likewise.
Both.
No, great game. What was the inspiration for Diamonds? You were just goofing around playing trick-taking games, or just how did you come up with it?
Well, I did other rummy games for so many years.
Yeah.
And I have been going to different kinds of games. I made one based on Casino, an old Italian card game. And then when North Star published Clubs, we were talking about it, so Stephen and I, and so you have spades, hearts, and clubs, and I said to myself, why didn't somebody make diamonds? So I started fooling around with it at that moment when that game came out, Clubs, and I decided I always wanted to try trick-taking, but I didn't want to change the basic rules of trick-taking. I wanted to find some way to keep that elegance of just playing a card and following suit and playing any card when you can't, and I didn't want to do a trump. Wanted to make it very accessible, and it took me quite a while because I had different actions for those suits for a long time, and I had different actions for the discarding and the winning, and so it was a little more complex than I wanted. And then when I discovered finally a way to balance it by adding that extra series of actions at the end of a hand when you count up your cards, that allowed me to keep the actions exactly the same throughout the whole game. So when that started to gel, I thought, gee, I think we got something here. And the testing went really well, and Stephen was great to be excited about it and jump on board. So, but that's where it came from. I wanted to do something simple, very accessible, but hopefully would be interesting enough, for people to play.
No, it's one of those games that I could teach it to somebody in 5 minutes because everybody's played hearts or spades growing up, and it bridges the gap so wonderfully between it's got just enough hint of like modern designer board game to it that I can play that and I cannot be bored silly sitting at the table with my parents. So thank you for making the game. It's awesome.
Thank you so much, Joel. Your review was wonderful. I was so excited to hear that you liked it that much because I know you do get into a lot of pretty heavy games. And my concern at first was the game too light, to get any gamers kind of interested? But it seems to not be the case. It seems they do like it. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's a bad rap that I get sometimes, but we quite enjoy it. The family definitely enjoys it. Hearts and spades is kind of a tradition going back a few generations with the family. So, yeah, we really liked it. I don't know if I said this in the review or not, but I kind of have soured on like the trick taking side of it and more of the ladder climbing stuff is what I've been interested in lately. But this one, kind of, I guess, sort of revitalized, trick taking because I always felt playing the game that, you're not necessarily always just trying to win every hand. You're trying to, manipulate and sort of set yourself up to, steal a bunch of diamonds from somebody else or bury all the diamonds you stole on the last, the last round and all that stuff. So
I would encourage you to try the partnership. You find like 4-player partners with perfect diamonds, or even 6-player with 3 teams is a pretty wild game. I mean, it's a pretty interesting game. It brings out a lot of different strategies you don't have in the free-for-all approach.
Cool. Yeah, well, we really enjoy it quite a bit. So it's I don't know if you can see it up there. It's on the shelf.
Oh, it made it to the shelf. That's great.
Everything's reversed here.
Let me also. Did we play a three partnership game? Did we do that once? You and me. We play a 6-player game.
6-player with 3 partnerships.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
It's pretty crazy because you pass to your partner and you get all these kind of crazy things going because you have one vault and one showroom. So you're just setting it up. One guy is playing, is leading the heart because he knows the other guy is out of it and is going to play the spade. So you get the thing in front and then the other guy puts it in back. It's kind of fun. Yeah.
Great. Well, yeah, I just got to say, I'm also looking forward to your, sorry, Stephen, his baseball highlights game coming out, too. So.
Please plug baseball. It's awesome, that game.
I saw you on the Kickstarter list, Joel. I was very, very pleased. Yes, I think you'll like that game a lot. I mean, I showed it to Stephen first. I guess it's okay.
No, you can say that, absolutely.
I showed it to Stephen before anybody else.
What was my comment about that game?
Stephen loved the game. He loved the game. Wanted to keep playing it. But
what did I say after that? I love the game. I want this game, but it's baseball.
Baseball, it's 2-player, basically.
I didn't think there's enough of a market there.
Right, exactly. And so for what Stephen does, it might not have been his line. And I knew I'd have some difficulty with it. Also, the game is completely wacky. I don't know if you've seen the video or you know much about the play, but I was very concerned that it was just too wacky out there. But because you got the fields. Both players have men on base at the same time, and everything's happening once. But players, for the most part, if they like baseball, they like that kind of a 2-player card game, seem to get into it. And I've had crazy response. Like, Tom Lehman thinks it's one of the best mechanics he's ever seen, and he's going to make some games like it. He wrote a beautiful piece on it for The Geek. So it's one of these things where it works out better than you thought. And the same with Diamonds. I mean, I'm very pleased with the response it's getting. It's more than I could have hoped for. So it's really
as a guy I'm a huge Stratomatic baseball fan. I played it for years.
Oh, so am I. I played APA and Stratomatic. I played them all. Yeah.
Yeah, I get each season. I get the cards, and I have a couple buddies, and we play, and so I'm looking forward to the baseball game too. The game.
Well, it's very different. It's not a simulation.
Oh, I know. I've seen it, and it looks crazy, but it looks like
you'll feel like you're playing baseball. That's what I say to people, and most people find that you will definitely feel like you're playing baseball.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. So who else is in your basement there, Stephen?
Well. We can't. Well, I can't keep Mike here too long. So first of all, you gotta give any of the questions to Mike. The only other people in the basement are people who are not in the industry, right? I don't think anybody else.
Right now,
important.
That's true. I mean, there are people that play test with us.
Engelstein comes once in a while. I mean, he comes every other time. He's not here.
Andrew Parks comes a lot. It's a great group. A great group of guys here.
But yeah, so right now, my buddy Chad, who you've seen at conventions with me, he's here. He runs my basement when I'm not around.
What are you guys playing down there?
Well, I'm playing Chimera right now. My good friend of a
Okay.
my very close friend Ralph Anderson has been a friend of mine since the 70s, and we were in the same game group. He helped me with every one of my game designs over the years. He's now vice president of a Griffin Eagle, so he's worked on the baseball game, but he did this game, Chimera, the 3-player Tishu. So right now I'm taking a couple people to school with that game.
Very nice.
Fantastic. Good deal.
Why don't I live closer to them? I want to be in Stephen
I'm
Bonnecore's
moving
basement.
to New York or New Jersey, wherever you guys are at.
Yeah, wherever you are. You got an extra room, don't you, Stephen?
Sure, I have plenty of room here for you. Come on down.
Okay.
Bring the whole
Awesome.
family.
This
You got
is
it.
the Stronghold. This home is what we call the Stronghold. This is where
That's
it's at.
that's actually one of the fun facts of Stronghold Games. The house was named before the company. I call the house the Stronghold. It's got a stone front, and I don't know. It sounds a cool name, so I called it the Stronghold, and therefore that's how Stronghold Games the name came up.
Whatever works. Jeez, a little full of yourself.
So, while we still got Mike on here, do you have any other games coming out, or designing, or any inklings?
I do have I have 5 designs in the works. Now that I'm full time at this, I'm sort of going crazy with this because I left my actual job of 44 years in radio. So for the last year and a half, I'm doing this full time. In fact, the Diamonds is the first game that I came up, that I really did as a full time game designer. So, it's kind of exciting to see. Maybe the extra attention or being awake more when I'm designing actually helps. But I do have a lot coming out. This year still to come is all the Mystery Rummy reprints and the Mystery Rummy 5 Escape from Alcatraz. Wyatt Earp is being reprinted.
Okay.
And I have several others I can't announce yet simply because they're not licensed yet. But there's some some things I'm going to try my hand at and see what happens.
Good. Fantastic.
Yeah, all the good luck, man. I mean, just keep coming out with that stuff.
But
You should have retired like 20 years ago.
You guys are such an important part of this hobby, and I just want to thank you again for the great job you do. You put so much time and effort into it, and you really do a super job.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that, Mike.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks.
So I'm going to give you back to Steven
All right.
and go back and beat up my friends
Aw.
at Chimera. There you go.
Thanks for coming up, Mike. Appreciate it. How about that?
Put Mike back on.
Yeah, you don't want to. That's funny. No,
Oh, that's a nice treat. Thanks, Steven. I appreciate that.
oh, you're welcome. Yeah. When you guys said, you guys can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When you guys said Tuesday night, this is a bi-weekly Tuesday night boys game night thing that I do here. So this happened to be that night. And I said, you know what? I got to get these things done. I said, you know what? Too bad. I'm gonna blow those guys off. They'll hang out in my basement, which they do anyway when I'm not around. So they're hanging out downstairs. And
What, do they have like keys to the house or something, or how do they get in?
Well, I'm in the house, so I can let them in.
Well,
No,
you said
but
when I'm not around, they come more to my basement. That's what you just said.
Yes, but sometimes I have to work or something. They still are allowed in here to hang out. But actually, the funny thing is, like, I actually have one of the guys, Chad, who I mentioned. He actually does have keys to the house, and he has and probably will when I'm in Essen. If that's if it falls on that week, he probably will open up the house and he'll have the guys over, and he'll I let them do that. Why not? Because I'm a good guy. They drink.
It doesn't sound like much of a stronghold. I'm just saying, you got random dudes with keys to the house. So.
I'm a good guy. I say I'm a social guy. I like my friends, and I trust certain people to hang out here when I'm not around.
Okay, well, send me some keys and an address then.
If you live close enough, you'd get a set of keys. Absolutely, no doubt.
It looks like our hangout went down for a second, but it's caught back up. We didn't lose anything, but some folks are complaining. So.
Oh, what
That's
happened?
right. No, it's fine. They'll be caught up.
I just got a
messaging
text
everybody.
message saying that it stopped broadcasting. Oh, then never mind, it's back. So we're okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, did anybody
We're back
ever
up.
post any questions or anything there, big guy?
Yeah, actually, we got a few questions here. I'll try to get to them. Let's see how much longer. We got a few more minutes here for Mr. Buoncore. We're gonna.
We can go over now that Mike. I know Mike's having a good time down there. I can hang out just as long as you need me. Well,
Okay.
not as long, but a little longer.
Right.
2 a.m.
That went pretty well, huh? So I didn't tell you guys that he was around. And
No, you didn't. That was a
I-
complete surprise.
I texted him a couple of times. He didn't look at his phone. I'm like, Mike, come on up. Come on up. Come on up. He didn't come up until just now. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, we got one question here. I'll just read the whole thing verbatim. Question for Mr. Buoncore. Do you think there is a relative lack of highly rated Wild West themed games on BGG? Revolver is a conflict-oriented game, and the theme seems to be more attuned to the Ameritrash crowd. Does this influence the popularity according to BGG as the Eurogamers are more averse to theme or the need for combat? I really like Revolver. I think that's kind of, I don't know what you call it, under the radar type game. It's, I think it's doing pretty well, but
Revolver?
Yeah.
No, well, that was like a multi-part question there. I mean,
Yeah.
I think in general, Wild West is a fairly underdone theme. Was one of the reasons that attracted me to the Revolver series of games. It's done okay for me. It's not being a two-player game, and Mike alluded to that with his baseball game. Two-player games are just generally a harder sell unless they're true war games. But and even then, they're still harder sells. So, in general, the Wild West theme is underplayed, underdone. I was attracted to Revolver and I brought it out, and we've done many expansions for that. And it's done okay, but not tremendous. And we've even gone more with a second game in that series, Revolver 2. Mike Fitzgerald, for one, has got Wyatt Earp, but that's more of, it's not truly Wild West, but it has that little bit of Wild West involved. I think it's something that can absolutely be done more, because I think there's so much interesting stuff that is out there. I mean, if you look at the thematics that are in, let's use Revolver since it was brought up. Look at the thematics that are in Revolver. The Mark Chapman who created that game, there's 2 pages in the rule book that are simply going through character bios. There's no reason to have that there. It's simply to show you that there's so much richness that you can actually put into a game. In this case, into my Wild West game. So I don't think that it's a problem of the theme itself. I think that people just need to, more games need to be designed and utilize it well. I don't think that it's a matter of the poster said something about Euro games. People don't like theme or aren't as drawn to theme. I think that is not the case.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where people have talked about. Euros don't have a lot of theme. Some of them don't, but a lot of them do. If you look at we've mentioned Panamax 100 times here. The marriage of mechanics and themes in Panamax are fantastic. When Kanban comes out, Kanban Automotive Revolution, I think they're going to really even as much, if not more, see a marriage of an amazing theme, automotive automotive manufacturing, and the theme of actually doing that, bringing the cars down the assembly line, upgrading parts, going out and getting projects. This entire marriage of an automotive assembly line in a very heavy Euro. Kanban is even a step up from Panamax in the heaviness category of Euros. So don't underestimate the Europeans or even the American Euro style player. Don't underestimate their love of a good theme, as long as it makes sense within a game itself.
Perfect. Sounds good to me.
You mentioned the Wild West theme, and that's something I think Joel and I have mentioned quite a few times. How there just aren't any games really. I mean, there's that weird train game that's coming from Asmodee that looks like overproduced craziness. You know which one I'm talking about, Joel?
Colt Express, yep.
Yeah, Colt Express, and then
which one is that? I'm sorry.
Well, it's a game that the board is actually a train, that you will move your meeples on either inside the train or on top of the train because you're trying to rob the train like an Old West movie.
It's
And so
three-dimensional. Yeah, you say
Yeah.
you can. It's 3D physical space, and you're moving guys around robbing the train.
It's called Colt Express. It looks
Yeah.
pretty interesting. I mean, it's audacious at least. And then Mr. B Games did Spurs, and that got a pretty good response from what I understand. So, I don't know. I haven't played it yet. Have you?
No, I haven't played it.
No, and then but I mean, you have to go back to what was the old Avalon Hill game? There was like the
There's been a few like Way Out West and
Way
Carson
Out West?
City, and
Well, that's Gunslinger.
Gunslinger. That's the
Our
one where
friend Richard Hamblin. That was the big Avalon Hill one. Way Out West was Martin Wallace.
Maybe you could reprint that one. You understand?
So we got a couple more questions here. Let's see. Where's the next one? This one I'm not sure. I think he's talking about Survive. Will we ever see any more goodies for Atlantis? Or is that game done now?
I assume he's talking about Survive.
Yeah.
I guess I'm giving you another scoop.
Yes, good question.
Ah!
Whoever asked that.
I issued a press release early this year, and I proclaimed 2014 the year of Space Cadets.
That's right.
You guys remember? I don't know if you remember that or if anybody did. Because I did 2 expansions for each one of the base games I had out, and I also announced Space Cadets Away missions, which obviously is going to be a little bit delayed. But this was a big year to push a lot of Space Cadets out. Next year, 2015. First time you're hearing this, I'm going to be doing the year of Survive. There's going to be a lot of Survive stuff coming next year. That's all I'm going to say now. But Survive is absolutely one of my core lines, and it will absolutely be expanded in many ways going forward.
Okay.
Oh, I have a question.
That's interesting to me. Hold on, because.
Follow up.
I'm like, what else can you add to it? So now my mind's wondering, what is there that you could possibly add to that game? But
what could you add to it? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I'll let you think about it.
All right.
Oh, jeez. All right, I have a question. I have a question. So you now have your amazing deal with Artipia. Which Konstantinos, that guy's awesome.
I was expecting this. I know the question already. I was expecting this question.
What?
No. I so know exactly what's coming out of your mouth.
You do not know what's coming out. So
somebody asked it in the chat.
Know.
Hey, just wait. Since you're having such a wonderful partnership with Artipia Games, and you like you said, you sold out Among the Stars, a really good game. I'm hoping you'll do the expansions and what have you. I'm wondering, in the future, when it comes time to bring games over from Europe, do you see yourself bringing over games from other publishers as well?
That was a huge cop out there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, are you bringing over the stripper game?
There you go. Is lap dance in my future? Is that what you're saying? Are you going to give me a lap dance? Is that what you're saying to me?
No. Okay. Well, see, here's the deal, and allow me
Oh my
just.
God.
I'm sure your answer is going to be no. I think I even heard that. But it's going to sell. There's no such thing as bad publicity, honestly. And they're gonna have a really successful Kickstarter, and they're gonna make money off of it. So, I mean, I understand if it's something you wouldn't want to produce just because you wouldn't want to have your name tied to it, but I don't know. That's just my opinion.
No, okay. So this is the official statement from Stronghold Games. I abhor censorship on every level. I think we are as free a people as you can have on the planet, and we should be able to speak our minds. And there's no reason that a game called Lap Dance or anything else that's legal should not be allowed. Certainly, that's an underdone theme. It would be the first time that's ever been done. A game about stripping. So I have no problem, and I am not a person that's offended by anything. I mean, anybody who knows me, I'm not offended by anything to begin with. So there's no reason in the world that game should not be printed. Assuming it's a good game. Even if it's a bad game, there's plenty of bad games that are printed too. But I'm assuming it's a really good game. I've never seen it. By the way, I knew about this game well before it was announced. I did know about this. However, it's probably not in my best interests to put that game under my label, right, under my brand, because there are people who get offended too easily. Simple as that. There are people that get offended by things too easily. And once a game once a company puts something under their brand that offends someone, there's a ripple effect, and therefore my family games might have a problem. So it's probably not in my best interest to do that game. Now, is there a way that I can bring the games over and not offend people? I mean, I don't know, but I mean, in a general sense, it's probably not something that you're going to be seeing coming out with a big Stronghold Games logo on it in 2015, and that's a shame in a lot of ways. Again, assuming it's a good game, because I haven't committed to doing any. I've announced 3 titles for Martipia. And those are the 3 games that I have committed to doing, right? Among the Stars, the Ambassadors, and Among the Stars, Expanding the Alliance. Those 3 games are coming out very soon. 1 is out, and 2 are coming out very soon. I have not announced any other game, and I have not even committed to any other game, though Konstantinos and I have spoken at length about other games, and there is obviously a very strong possibility that when he reprints some of his older titles, that I'm involved in printing them for the U.S. and the rest of the world. Because again, I do distribute out in Asia and in Australia, so I can actually get games out pretty darn far. So this game, though, is going to cause, while it would sell, it could cause ripple effects to the rest of the brand, and I call that caving if you'd like. But call that just
I'll call
smart.
it caving.
All right, you can call it caving. But call it at the same time. I can't be dumb, and I can't just simply pick it up because. So I have to be smart about it. I have zero problem with that game from a thematic standpoint, because there's nothing illegal or bad about what it is. You can go to a strip club legally, and that is your choice. So that's my official statement as a American in free speech, and I don't believe in censorship.
Oh, let me ask a follow-up question then. Is it legal to throw somebody off of a lifeboat to have them get eaten by sharks?
Lance, you'd be the first person I'd toss off, because
Oh!
there's a lot of meat on them bones.
Oh!
So, come on.
Oh, look at that.
You're a more tasty morsel than Joel, man. Come on.
The Sasquatch? Yeah, maybe. No. Have you considered like any other companies like over in Europe, like bringing their games over? I mean, are you talking to anybody? I mean, you don't have to name names, obviously.
No,
but I mean, are you?
Well, you're obviously not up on things, because I've already done games with.
Well, I know that like White Goblin.
Lance, you embarrass me.
Let me embarrass him now. No, I've done games with a Goblin, as you know. I've done games with Egger Spieler, right? Peter Egger
Yep.
And I've done games with GeoChix or GeoChix in front of the Italian firm. Those are the 3 companies in Europe that I've already brought games over from, and I've spoken to many others, I have announced already. It's on the website, so this is not a new announcement. We're doing a co-publication with Pegasus. This is in the opposite direction. Actually, they published my Crude the Oil game, which they called McMulty in Europe. I'm going to be bringing over Pictomania, which is a game by Vlada Schlavel. Vlada Schwadl. I mean, that's how you pronounce it, right? Who's
I
got
have
more
no
games
idea.
more games in the top 100 than anybody else, right? Through the Ages, Galaxy Trucker, Dungeon Lords, Dungeon Pets, right? It's all of Lada's games from CGE. They picked up his party game, and I'm going to be doing that one as well in 2015 as well. So there's going to be many more co-publications that Stronghold Games does with European publishers, and from different ones as well, going forward.
Right.
It's also one of the most important reasons I go to Essen. I mean, yes, it's very profitable to just be there and be selling my games, but it's also very, very good to be there in front of the European publishers, taking meetings with them, getting to know them, and picking up their new games.
So you're going to Essen, and you're going to BGG-Con,
Definitely.
and geez, any other conventions coming up that you're going to be attending?
That closes the convention season. There's some local stuff as well between now and the end of the year. There's actually one right between those two, called Metatopia. It's a designer and publisher convention where basically I bring the stuff back from Essen and we test a lot of stuff there with gamers that show up and with other designers that we get together. We test lots of games. But that ends the convention season. BGG-Con is basically the end of the very long convention season that goes from Origins all the way through November, that convention. And then I go to Cabo. And you remember that one, right? You remember when I was in Cabo last year? You were like,
I vaguely remember this.
You vaguely remember. You guys are like, I think Lance said Buoncore's spending all his Survive money. That was the exact quote he used.
Yes. He's cashing checks.
It's my only vacation of the year. My only true vacation of the year. I spend a week in Cabo San Lucas. If you guys want to come down, you can hang out with me.
You buying a ticket?
You can buy your own ticket, but I have a place there. I have a place that
you have a place in Cabo that you bought with your Survive money.
No, actually my brother has a place there that I leech off of him. So you can come and hang out if you want.
Can you bring a camera into your bedroom so we can see the bed full of money that you sleep on?
Yeah. that is absolutely one of those. No, that is a fallacy. Nobody actually believes it, but there is a very slim margins, and it's very few people getting truly rich in this industry. That is, I would like to go on record as saying that. Very few people getting truly rich. If you can sell your company to a very, very big company. We didn't speak about that big elephant in the room. That was a fantastic thing that occurred this past week, or the week before, right? When Days of Wonder was sold to Asmodee, right? That's the
Which is
number
weird. Because if you, and this is, I'm not calling out Days of Wonder by any means.
No, why should you?
But the CEO actually, as recently as a year or two ago, I think he was quoted as saying, "Would you ever get rid of your company?" And like he said, the day my company is sold is the day they put me in the ground. Like he basically said, "There's no way." You know, you should never say never, obviously, because everything can come back and haunt you. But he actually made the comment that there was absolutely no way he was ever going to get rid of the company, and he was going to keep it till the day he died. So apparently, when they back up a Brinks truck full of money, you just say, "Yeah, okay."
I never heard that quote. I assume you're talking about Eric. Eric is the CEO. Eric Houtemont is the CEO of the company. He I'm surprised that he even made that statement. If he did, because I didn't see it. But Eric made a lot of money. I don't know Eric personally. I know Mark Hoffman very well.
It might have been Mark Hoffman. I don't know. I mean, it could very well be incorrect because it was said to me by another industry person, like another person who runs a publishing company.
So you're saying it's not first-hand information?
No, I did not read it. But
Joel, how do you get these people on the show with you?
I don't even know.
but let's be clear. The person that I heard this from is like the straightest arrow in the world. He's like you, Steven. So I don't know why he would lie to me.
Straight. No, but I can't even comment on the whole. Whether he said it or not, of course, but when somebody comes to you with a good offer to buy your company, it's a good idea to look at those, and that's just a smart business person. So I think
they're gonna. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think personally it's a very interesting thing for the industry. I mean, I'm commenting on this from an industry perspective now. It's a very interesting thing for the industry to see the largest company in the industry, and for those who don't know, Asmodee is the largest company in the hobby game industry in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Now that includes Fantasy Flight, who is the largest company, happens to be in the U.S. Asmodee is what we call a very big vertically integrated company. They own distribution. They own the largest distributor in England of all places. Estevium is the largest distributor in England. They own them. They're owned by a very big concern out in Europe as well. So they were sold at the beginning of this year for something around, I'm gonna miss this quote exactly, but something around 110 million euro, which is 140 or so million dollars. That's how big Asmodee is. That was the selling price of that company earlier this year. They bought probably the, I don't know, fifth biggest, sixth biggest, you can whatever number that you put Days of Wonder, top 10 biggest companies in the industry. It's saying something for the health of the industry that a big company would say, wow, this is a good thing for us to do with another big company. Let's buy them because they're very strong, and let's even get a bigger brand going. So, I was very excited to hear about it. I was very happy for Mark because I know him very well. That they're doing very well, and they're gonna manage themselves into a good place. They're gonna bring that company and hand it over to Asmodee in a good way. And I think in general, it's the industry is very strong and is going to continue to see, very big growth over the next foreseeable future, and continue to see other things like this happening. That's my prediction.
Sounds good. I think the Mark and I'm sorry, I forgot the other guy's name.
Eric.
Eric. They're going to still stay involved, from what I understand. They're not like going away or anything.
Sure, for at least for a little while. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we got to sort of wrap up a little bit here.
I want to ask Stephen one last question. This is
all right.
I'm not going to yank his chain or anything here.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. I'm sure you will. There's no doubt.
Okay. No. Okay. Just a total trivia type of game. Trivia question kind of thing. In the last year or so, what game that you didn't publish that's come out have you played the most of that you were really excited about, as far as you thought was a really good game and you really enjoyed?
That's a good question. I probably played more, one game that I didn't do. I probably played more Love Letter than anything.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, and then is that just because it's kind of quick and easy to set up and just deduction, and you can play it it's just that quintessential quick fast game to play?
It's because it's a great game. It is fast. It's fantastic, and ever since playing it for the first time, I said I got to get one of these games into my lineup. So.
So why don't you have one then? That was my next question. Why don't you have
Why don't I have the next great anything? So it's you have to get it pitched to you.
All right.
I've actually made public statements. I'm looking for a microgame, but every microgame will always be compared to Love Letter, so it's got to be that good. I've been pitched a half dozen of them at least, and I've said no, and no. The one that I did like a lot got picked up by somebody else before I had a chance to get it.
Oh, what was it? What was it? Say it.
No, I can't tell you that.
Oh, okay. Well, then that kind of dovetailed into the question that I wanted to ask was, since you've been a publisher, what is besides the kerfuffle, the much publicized kerfuffle, what is the biggest mistake, or you said, I totally missed the boat on that one, or if I just made the phone call 5 minutes earlier, or if I just signed that guy, what's your regret, if you will?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been asked that question a lot, and I've always said I don't have one of those. I don't have one that damn, I could have and I didn't. There's a slight one that has just actually occurred this year, earlier this year, sort of. I could have had Camel Up,
Oh, wow.
which was the Spiel des Jahres winner. That doesn't mean as much in the U.S. I'm not sure if you guys know this. If you have a Spiel des Jahres winner you're in Europe and you're in Germany specifically, you'll do 20 or 30 times the number of units that you would have done otherwise. 20 to 30 times. So that's staggeringly good. In the U.S., it's like 3 or 4 times. So while, yes, I still would have liked to have done it, and I still would have liked to have done it. It's not like I'm gonna go buy an island someplace or something. It's not a life-changing event. The only reason, and I liked the game quite a bit. I really liked it. I loved it, I can say. But I was already committed this year. As you can see, I was already committed to every one of the games I have already done. So I was doing 10 more games already this year. It was going to be 11. I let one slip. So I had to tell Edgar Spiel, I said, I just can't. I love the game. I just can't do another game this year. And Z-Man ended up picking up, and my buddy Zev, and he's still there. He's doing great with that, so I'm very happy for him. Wish I had it. Great game, but that's the only one that I can say that point to. I can say, kind of wish I would have got that.
Is it wrong? I was hoping you had your. I'm very happy for him. I wish him all the luck in the world.
Zev is my single best friend in the industry. I will never ever think badly about him. No, are you kidding me? It's awesome.
He cashed out. He cashed out. He got the big payday. So what's your sticker price, man? If somebody comes up and wants you to cash out, what's your sticker price?
Stronghold Games is not for sale. Come on.
Oh, okay. Well, you just said anybody's got their price. You just said
but every man does have his price. That is actually that's true. I mean, you do. You as an owner of a company, you would be not doing your fiduciary responsibility to not entertain every offer that was made. I've never been made an offer. I don't anticipate being made one anytime soon. But and Zev actually said he wasn't looking for somebody to buy him out when that happened. It happened. Somebody came to him. He didn't have something in mind, and then they negotiated, and it ended up happening. And he's got the greatest deal in the world because he's integrally involved in the stuff that is the most fun part of the industry, going out and finding new games, right? Play games, find games, play test games. You love this game, you then bring it to market. You present it to the people that own the company to bring it to market. So he does all the fun stuff and all the crappy stuff. The customer service, love our customers, but there's a lot of customer service emails you got to deal with. All the production that you have to deal with, there's a lot of that work that has to be done. He does all the fun stuff and doesn't have to deal with the true grindy stuff, and that's great. And of course, he got a nice payout in the end.
So it's the American dream, is what you're saying.
Well, he did okay.
Well, all right. Well, that's cool. You got something for him, Joel? Come on.
Yeah. So we're running up against it. I wish we could go for another 2 hours, but unfortunately,
I think we probably could.
Yeah. But so at Gen Con, you had Diamonds, you had Die Fighter, you had Panamax. I'm probably forgetting one.
Among the Stars, which is your favorite?
That's what you said. Oh, no comment. I'll move on from there.
Oh, whatever. You bag on the dumbest games, Joel.
Whatever. All right. All right. Next subject. Essen. So, what are you bringing to Essen? Give us your rundown.
Essen. So that was 4 games that premiered, or were available at least at Gen Con. At Essen, I'm actually clicking on my website here so I can just sort of remember them all because I have 6 more titles that will show up first at Essen. I already mentioned a few of them, but let me go through some of them. I got 2 expansions for Among the Stars. Among the Stars, The Ambassadors, Expansion 1, and Among the Stars, Expanding the Alliance, Expansion 2 for Among the Stars. So both of those games also will be there first. I have Medina, I mentioned that. That's a reprint of a 2001 game. Rio Grande had brought that up back then. We're bringing that back now with even more beautiful components that were in the original game. And what that game was, it's an abstract game about building a city, essentially.
Right.
And it was prized back then for the amount of wood that was in the game and how beautiful the wood pieces were. Well, of course, in 2014, you can even do that much better, with the tooling that you can do on wood. So therefore, it's even going to look better than it did back then. We're bringing that back for gamers. That'll premiere there.
Yeah, I've seen
Kanban.
pictures of this online. I would recommend anybody go look at it. It looks
Yeah,
gorgeous.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you mentioning that. Yeah, if you go look at the pictures that I put up recently on Medina, and some very thematic ones too, like that were taken by a photographer, it absolutely looks stunning. We've made some changes to the game too, which is kind of cool. So yeah, it's a two-sided board now. You can play it down to 2 players. It was a 3-4 player game. Now it's a 2 to 4 player game. We've added some new wooden pieces to the game and some new tiles to the games. We've actually added components, added mechanics into the game. Still, the designer was integrally involved with doing all that work with us, so that's going to be fantastic for us. Kanban, Automotive Revolution. I mentioned that before. That's the other heavy euro. In fact, it's even a bigger euro than Panamax. Panamax I would even put in the mid to heavyweight range. Panamax, once you get past, you get past that learning curve, it's very approachable. It's got some very novel things going on there, but the game flows very well, and I think that most Euro gamers are really going to be able to just grok that pretty easily. Kanban, it's that much bigger. It's Vital Lacerda. It's all he does is like the big heavy Euros. His first game was Vinos, the winemaking game. His second game was CO2 that I did with Geochix out in Italy, and Kanban. That's my game specifically. He came to me and said, "I really want you to do Kanban with me about producing automobiles, the automotive industry." And the name Kanban, by the way, for those who care, is a process management system that was adopted by the Japanese auto manufacturers, Toyota and Honda, back in the 90s, and made them the great automotive manufacturers for a while, and then has since been adopted by many others in various industries, including in U.S. automotive industry. So that's going to be a very big release for us as well. So I think I just named. And the last one is Core Worlds Revolution, the second expansion for Core Worlds. So that's six new releases
Yes.
that are going to be coming out at Gen Con. At
Essen.
At Essen.
Yes.
So it's going to be
what
pretty
about
hectic there.
what about us poor schlubs that can't make it to Germany? When do we get our hands on like Kanban and Medina?
All right, well, that's kind of a good segue, because if you go over to the Stronghold Games website, right there on the front page, I got my release schedule. Currently on pre-order, we have Panamax still on pre-order.
Awesome game.
That's right, thank you. We have the 2 Among the Stars expansions, and we have Core Worlds Revolution. All those are on pre-order now. The Stronghold Games pre-order promise is that, first of all, you get 30% off the MSRP if you pre-order from us, and you get it shipped to you before it gets shipped out to distributors or to retailers. So you will get the game first through us before any other customer gets it if you'd like to get it on pre-order. Then we have the rest of the games: Medina, Kanban, Automotive Revolution, and I didn't even mention Space Cadets Resistance is Mostly Futile. I didn't mention that one. Oh my God, I forgot that one. That's
I was
the
about to
expansion.
ask. You're breaking my heart, Stephen. I'm like,
That's the expansion to the original Space Cadets. I'm sorry. That's right. Yeah, I know that you like that as much as Dice Duel, right? I know that you said that recently when you did the Die Fighter expansion
yeah.
review.
Yeah.
So that one also is going to be at Essen. Those 3 games as well will be on pre-order with the final batch of games on pre-order. I'll probably open that up during the first week in October. So again, you can all of these games, all of these extra 6 games plus the 3 that I already have, they're all going to be out this year for you. I ask gamers to now, sign up for my newsletter at strongholdgames.com. Follow us on Twitter at Stronghold Games. Facebook is /Stronghold Games. Keep abreast of what we're doing. You find out when our games go on pre-order. You find out when our releases are. and you'll get the news first if you don't listen to me on podcasts when things are coming out. So I thank you guys very much for having me on the show. This has been great. I was able to give you some news, give you a special guest with Mike Fitzgerald. I think we did pretty well tonight. I spent an extra half hour with you. Now I'm going to get back to my games downstairs.
Yes, please get back to your games. I can't believe you gave up gaming with Mr. Fitzgerald and the other folks to talk to us schlubs. But
yeah, to you three, us three jackwagons, as somebody said on Twitter.
Yeah, the three jackwagons there. Lance, why don't we just rename the podcast? You know, Marco's not around anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's sad. We just need to have guests on more often, I think, so we can have the three.
There you go.
Well,
you need to have the Podfather on more often. How's that?
That's right.
Well, hey, we're gonna have you on before BGG-Con. We're gonna make that happen. I want you to give out your big info or whatever.
All right, we'll do that.
Yes.
But hey, I just I'm assuming I'm speaking for Joel, and Joel can chime in here, but and I'm not trying to do this, but I've said this to you before. One of the coolest things about doing podcasts, doing reviews, being part of the industry is meeting people like you. And like you said, you were like one of the very first publishers I ever had a connection with or a conversation with or anything like that. And you really you made me feel like the stuff I did mattered, and you really went out of your way to tell me that you appreciated it. And so I just wanted to say, thanks for just being like a cool guy, and like it's so awesome. Well, no, I mean, no, there you go. I mean, I'm not trying to get all misty-eyed or anything like that, but I mean, just if anybody, I'm saying to the people that listen to this, if you ever like Steven runs like he's got his hair on fire at the convention, but if you get him to stop and slow down, he will. He's got that wonderful innate charisma that makes you feel like even that 5 minutes that he spends talking to you, you're the most important person in the world to him at that moment.
Aww.
And it's a tribute to you, and not because you're a businessman or anything like that. It's just a tribute to you and your your mentality and the way you handle yourself and the way you handle your relationships. So there you go, man.
No, that's very nice of you to say that. Thank you very much. I mean, I think that the one thing that we can close with is that I'm passionate about what I do. I mean, I'm passionate about Stronghold Games. I'm passionate about gaming. I'm passionate about our connection that we all make together when we get together and we hang out and we game. So, I mean, this whole thing is something that's really, really cool to me. So yeah, I mean, like there are plenty of people that I've spent time with at conventions, and plenty of people that like. They say like they bought a game and then they didn't talk to me. But I always say like just hang out, let's talk. Certainly when you find me in the evenings, you're always gonna find me having a good time someplace. Probably having a beer someplace or playing a game someplace. So please stop me and let's talk and let's get to know each other. It's actually a very important thing to me to do that, not only for the company, but just simply because that's what this entire hobby. This is what we do. I think that we all do. We get blamed for our social skills sometimes, right, gamers? But we really are some of the most social people out there, and I'm very happy to be part of this hobby and of this industry. So thank you guys, the way Mike said it before. Thank you two guys for your contribution to the hobby, for spreading the good news of gaming to everybody out there, and thank you for having me on as well.
No, I mean, I like I said, it's just and also thank you for publishing Scott Nicholson's game, man. It was nice to see him get excited about that. I had him at his house at my house actually, which was like one of the coolest things ever, and he had nothing but awesome things to say about you and the development of the game and everything else. So
good man. He's a cool guy.
You should see if he has more games to publish.
We're talking. Don't worry.
All right.
Okay.
All right,
these guys. I'm gonna take a break. These two guys can hang out, and they can love each other.
I gotta use the men's room, man. I had 2 beers when we're talking here. I gotta. All right, guys. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much. I'll come back anytime. So
tomorrow night.
Okay.
Yeah, not tomorrow, but soon, very soon. All right.
Okay. All right. Thanks everybody. Thanks for watching and joining, and we'll talk to everybody later. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks everybody.
Bye bye.